Elias Ward had exactly 3 goals that morning. Survive another diplomatic transport shift without insulting anyone. Drink his synth coffee before it achieved sentience. Definitely, absolutely, under no circumstances, make eye contact with royalty. By 08:14, he had accomplished none of them. The diplomatic shuttle lurched so violently that Elias sloshed half his coffee onto his uniform and the other half onto a console labeled extremely flammable. Alarms wailed. Lights flickered red. The navigation AI began reciting warnings in at least 5 languages, one of which sounded like aggressive coughing. Unidentified vessel, a voice boomed through the comms, laced with static and what Elias generously classified as cosmic disdain. You have entered sovereign Zaryth Dominion territory. Prepare for seizure. Elias blinked. Seizure? Do you mean like legal seizure or? A tractor beam answered. The shuttle was yanked into the hangar of a colossal warship, an obsidian monolith with glowing teal veins, like someone had decided to cross a cathedral with a supernova and then give it attitude problems. As the ramp lowered, Elias tried to stand straight. Unfortunately, standing straight required sleep and nutrition, neither of which he'd had in 2 days. He stumbled out between armored guards whose helmets reflected his face back at him. A tired human, coffee-stained, unprepared, and already letting down interstellar diplomacy. The chamber beyond felt impossibly vast, vaulted ceilings carved with runes, shimmering conduits humming with restrained power. The air smelled faintly like ozone and judgment. "This way," a guard said, expression stuck in perpetual annoyance. Elias followed, hyper-aware of every mistake he could possibly make. Wrong step, wrong gesture, wrong breathing rhythm. Gods, did he bow? Salute. Rotate in a respectful circle. No one told him. The guards marched him to the center of a circular platform surrounded by officials in layered robes. Before he could panic further, the chamber doors parted with a resonant chime. And she entered. Queen Aelyra of the Zaryth Dominion did not walk. She descended, as if gravity itself made an exception for her. Silver hair cascaded like liquid starlight, long ears curving elegantly back from her head, catching every glimmer. Her eyes were a brilliant crystalline violet, scanning him with a precision that made his soul consider filing for relocation. Every official knelt. Elias, who did not know the kneeling protocol and was also bad at knees, simply froze like a startled herbivore. Aelyra stopped before him, said nothing, simply looked. And Elias' brain, already frayed from caffeine deficiency, committed treason. Wow, he blurted. "You're so beautiful I forgot every diplomatic guideline I've ever studied." The silence was apocalyptic. Even the floating translator orb at his shoulder dimmed in despair. One of the officials inhaled sharply. A guard dropped their spear with a metallic clatter. Somewhere behind Elias, a drone emitted a confused beep. The queen's expression did not move, but her ears twitched, then impossibly. Her cheeks flushed, not red, not pink. A Zaryth royal flush, a soft luminescent violet that shimmered along her cheekbones like starlight learning to blush. Elias swallowed. Well, that's new. Aelyra's voice, when it came, was smooth and cool like polished moonstone. "I beg your pardon. I meant, respectfully beautiful, like diplomatically radiant, artistically symmetrical, scientifically optimal." Silence. He shut his mouth so fast his teeth clicked. One robed advisor leaned in, whispering urgently. Aelyra waved them away with a flick of her hand that suggested she could vaporize them if mildly inconvenienced. "You are a diplomat from Terra?" she asked. "Technically," Elias said. "More like a backup diplomat, a sub-diplomat, a placeholder in case the real diplomat oversleeps." Another advisor gasped, as if he'd confessed to assassinating a moon. Aelyra regarded him with studying intensity. "You are unfiltered. That's a polite way to say walking accident." Her ears twitched again. "You have violated 5 protocols, damaged decorum." And she paused, as if the next words were physically difficult. "Caused involuntary chromatic response in your queen." Elias winced. "If it helps, I panic flirt. It's a medical condition." Aelyra's eyes narrowed. "No one speaks to me this way." "And yet," Elias said softly, "you didn't stop me." Another silence, not angry this time, puzzled, intrigued. Aelyra lifted her chin. "Guards, place him under dignitary confinement. I will question him myself." "Question as in interrogation?" Elias asked. She did not answer. Her cloak swept as she turned, silver and violet shimmering like a storm of light. 2 guards approached. Elias sighed. "Okay. Just checking this is the kind of confinement where I get a bed, right? Not a pit. I'm allergic to pits. They said nothing. He was escorted away, heart pounding, mind spiraling, trying to understand how he'd arrived at this moment. Accidentally insulting an empire, accidentally charming its queen, accidentally becoming the most interesting problem. Elias Ward had expected confinement to involve bars, chains, possibly a stern lecture about interstellar etiquette. Instead, he was escorted into a chamber that looked like someone had tried to design a luxury suite after reading about human culture from badly translated postcards. There was a bed shaped like a crescent moon, a gravity-adjusting lounge platform, a beverage dispenser offering hydrated nebula, emotionally neutral tea, and something simply labeled yes. The guards deposited him inside with synchronized disdain. Her radiance will arrive shortly, one muttered. Neat, Elias said. Should I tidy up the existential panic or leave it scattered naturally? The door hissed shut, silence. Then anxiety. Then Elias picking up a glowing pillow and inspecting it like it might bite. He paced, sat, stood again, checked his reflection in the polished wall panel, dark hair disheveled, eyes tired, collar slightly crooked. He practiced a neutral expression, then a respectful one, then one he hoped said, please don't vaporize me. The door opened. Queen Aelyra stepped inside with a presence that rearranged the air. The guards stayed outside, leaving the two of them alone. Elias immediately forgot every pose he'd practiced. Aelyra approached with slow, measured steps, nothing wasted, nothing uncertain. Up close, she was even more breathtaking. Her long ears swept back in elegant arcs, their tips shimmering faintly with residual violet hue. The flush was gone now, but Elias couldn't unsee it, her crystalline eyes fixed on him. You have disrupted protocol, she said. You have disrupted order. You have, she hesitated. You have unsettled me. Elias blinked. Me? I'm like the least unsettling guy I know. Babies trust me, cats judge me, but in a friendly way. Her ears twitched. Explain, she said. I panicked. That is not an explanation. It's the only one I've got. Aelyra studied him for a long, unbearably intense moment, like she was analyzing the shape of his thoughts. At last she said, you are unexpected. Same, Elias muttered. I didn't think today would include accidental interspecies flirting. Her eyes narrowed, flirting. He winced. Did I say the quiet part loud? She stepped closer, close enough that the subtle scent of Starlotta's perfume brushed against him. Her voice dropped slightly. No one speaks to me as you did, not my court, not my generals, not my advisors. They see the crown, not Aelyra. Elias swallowed. I didn't mean to disrespect you. You did not disrespect me. Her eyes softened barely. You pierced the barrier, that is worse. He coughed. So you're saying I emotionally trespassed. Aelyra inhaled slowly, choosing her words like they were weapons. I wish, she said, to understand this human lack of restraint, this unfiltered candor, this irreverence that disarms without intent. Elias frowned. You want me to teach you how to be emotionally messy? Precisely. He blinked. Are you serious? Aelyra gestured to the hovering console. It flashed with neat Zaryth glyphs. I have scheduled instruction sessions, 2 hours daily. Beginning now. Elias looked at the console, then at her, then at the universe, which clearly hated him. You want me to tutor the queen of an interstellar empire in sarcasm. In sincerity, she corrected. In unpredictability. In softness. In whatever made my cheeks betray me in front of the council. Violet flickered faintly again. Elias resisted the urge to faint. Okay, he said finally. Lesson 1, sarcasm. It's a form of humor where you say the opposite of what you mean. Demonstrate, she ordered. Elias pointed at himself. Wow, this guy looks confident and not at all like he spilled coffee on a sacred console earlier. Aelyra blinked. You are mocking yourself. Yup, humans do that a lot. Why, to survive being human. Her ears twitched. I see. Lesson 2, Elias continued, jokes. They can be absurd, nonsensical. Demonstrate. Okay. Knock, knock. She stared. Who is knocking? No, you say who's there. It's a format. Who is there? Interrupting solar RAM. Interrupting solar Ra. MEEH, Elias shouted, throwing his arms up like a cosmic goat. Aelyra recoiled slightly, then impossibly. Made a sound, not a laugh, more like a soft, crystalline exhale that rang faintly with amusement. Elias stared. You laughed. I emitted a controlled mirth resonance, she corrected. It counts. Her ears flushed a softer violet. Next lesson. Before Elias could begin another, the wall panel pulsed. A message in bold glyphs. Request. War Council seeks immediate audience with Her Radiance. Aelyra exhaled sharply, annoyance slipping through her controlled facade. They can wait, she muttered. Elias blinked. Wait, you just ignored a war council. They have panicked before, they will again. It is their nature. She turned back to him, expression far too composed for someone defying an empire. You will continue tutoring me. Elias raised a finger. Before we continue, one question. Yes, he hesitated. Am I in trouble officially? Aelyra considered this. No, not yet. Not yet was doing a lot of heavy lifting. She stepped closer, so close he could see faint constellations reflected in her irises. You will remain under my supervision, she said quietly. Your presence disturbs established systems. Good disturb or bad disturb. She didn't answer. Instead, she turned toward the door. Tomorrow, she said, you will instruct me in emotional subtlety and spontaneous gesture. Elias blinked. Spontaneous, what now? We begin with hand-holding. He choked, what? It is a core human bonding ritual, she said matter-of-factly. I researched. Who taught you that? The internet. Elias buried his face in his hands. Oh no. Aelyra paused at the doorway, looked back, ears twitching ever so slightly. You may prepare. Elias woke up to an alarm he absolutely did not set. A melodic chime followed by a stern female voice declaring, Human subject, prepare for instruction session 2, emotional subtlety and spontaneous gesture. He groaned into the pillow. 5 more minutes. The voice brightened aggressively. Denied. He sat up, hair tangled, dignity gone, and reached for the only thing that could save him, synth coffee. The dispenser whirred and produced something that looked like dark plasma and smelled faintly of determination. Elias sipped. Oh good, regret in liquid form. The door slid open. Zaryth, the Queen's personal guard, stood there, a 7-foot wall of muscle and permanent exasperation. Human, Zaryth muttered. You are summoned. I figured, Elias said. She wants to practice hand-holding. Zaryth blinked like someone experiencing psychic trauma. Yes, unfortunately. They walked in silence through metallic corridors humming with starship energy. Every officer they passed stared at Elias as if he were a volatile chemical. One whispered, that is the one. Another murmured, chromatic anomaly trigger. A third made the sign of the TriStar, which Elias suspected was either a blessing or a warning that he was about to explode. Finally, they arrived at a chamber Elias had not seen before. Aelyra was standing in the center, surrounded by floating holographic emotion charts, cultural diagrams, and something labeled Human Touch Protocol, beginner level. He froze. She looked different today, still regal, still flawless, still breathtaking in that probably murdered by a celestial artist way, but softer, a fraction less distant. Her long ears curved elegantly, carrying a faint shimmer that wasn't quite anger or calm, something in between. Good morning, she said. Her voice was calm but carried a faint, almost imperceptible tremor. Elias bowed slightly. Ready for hand stuff. Zaryth coughed so hard the shields flickered. Aelyra ignored it. Today, she began, we will practice spontaneous human intimacy gestures, starting with... Wait, Elias interrupted. Before we touch anything, including each other, including the air around each other, you should know humans don't, have rules for this stuff. It's instinct. Aelyra considered that troubled. Instinct is dangerous. Not always. Frequently. He had to admit she had a point. She stepped closer. Demonstrate. Demonstrate what exactly? A casual human gesture. Elias thought, then snapped his fingers lightly. A wave, friendly, low risk. He waved. Aelyra observed silently, then attempted a wave of her own. Except her version was militarily precise, like a salute trying to be social and failing spectacularly. Okay, Elias said gently. Good attempt. But maybe less. Declare war more high. She tried again, better. Excellent, he said. Now another subtle human gesture, standing closer. He stepped toward her. Aelyra did not move away, but her ears twitched. A faint violet spark flickered along the edges. Your proximity is noticeable, she murmured. Good noticeable. Undetermined. Elias exhaled. Okay, actual hand-holding tutorial, step 1, extend hand. He lifted his. Aelyra looked at it like it was a sacred artifact or a live grenade. Then she slowly extended her own, slender, elegant, trembling just slightly. Their fingertips touched. A spark literal, tiny, bioluminescent flared between them. Aelyra inhaled sharply. Elias' heart did something extremely unprofessional. So, he whispered, That's hand-holding. Her voice was quiet. This is intimate. Sort of. Dangerously intimate. Only if someone writes a poem about it. Aelyra's ears flushed violet. Before either could process what they were feeling, the wall panel pulsed violently. Priority alert. War Council demands presence of her radiance. Category, emotional deviation risk. Aelyra stiffened. They monitor my emotional patterns. That's invasive. It is governance. Zaryth stepped forward. Your radiance, they insist. Aelyra released Elias' hand slowly, too slowly to be accidental, and turning away felt like breaking gravity. But before she left, she spoke so softly only he could hear. Continue to prepare lessons. Today was useful. He swallowed. Yes, sure, anytime. Her eyes flicked to his hand again. A whisper of color shimmered in her cheeks. Then she left to face the council. The council chamber was visible to Elias through a translucid observation panel. He shouldn't watch, but he couldn't look away. Aelyra floated onto her platform. Advisors murmured. Emotion sensors pulsed in the center like a beating mechanical heart. Your radiance, the judicator said. We have detected elevated emotional frequency patterns, deviations, anomalies. Aelyra's voice was cool steel. I am functioning within acceptable parameters. Violet chromatic blush has been recorded. A collective gasp. We demand explanation. Aelyra's gaze flickered just once toward the observation panel. At him, Elias froze, the queen straightened. There is no malfunction, she said. There is curiosity. Curiosity is a destabilizing variable, the council hissed. Not when it is honest. Every advisor shifted, scandalized. And Elias suddenly understood something terrifying. Aelyra wasn't defending herself. She was defending the effect he had on her. She was choosing openness over protocol, emotion over rigidity, curiosity over control, and the entire Zaryth Dominion had no idea how to handle it. Zaryth found Elias pacing outside the chamber. You, he grunted. The council blames you. Elias grimaced. Do they plan to vaporize me? Not yet. That seems to be a theme. Zaryth sighed, long-suffering. I do not like you. But he glanced away. Her radiance smiles now, even if she denies it. Whatever you are doing, it is not entirely catastrophic. High praise, Elias muttered. Zaryth stepped closer. And human, prepare yourself. Whatever path you and she are on, it will not be easy. Elias nodded. I know. But, Zaryth added reluctantly, she touched your hand. That is no small thing. Elias blinked. You saw that. All of Zaryth saw that. Oh. Oh, Zaryth repeated gravely. Indeed. Later that night, back in the glowing crescent bed, Elias finally lay down, exhausted, overwhelmed, terrified. A queen had held his hand. Elias woke to the gentle hum of the starship, a soft violet glow filtering through his suite as if the lights were politely asking him to please get his life together. He stretched, rolled off the crescent bed, and went straight for the beverage machine. Coffee, he whispered. The machine beeped. Beverage selection, emergency human stabilizer. A cup materialized, steaming like it had opinions about him. He took a sip. Okay, liquid regret, perfect. The door slid open. Zaryth stared at him with the expression of someone who'd rather swallow a plasma grenade than deal with a human before breakfast. Her radiance summons you. Elias set down his cup. Are we doing emotional lessons again? Zaryth paused. Something worse. I don't like the sound of that. You won't like the taste of it either. Elias blinked. Taste. Zaryth didn't elaborate. Never a good sign. They entered a chamber Elias had never seen before. A long hall with floating crystalline dishes arranged in perfect, intimidating symmetry. Holographic runes circled each plate. The air shimmered with scents he couldn't identify. Floral, metallic, electric, something like cinnamon if cinnamon had gone through an existential crisis. Aelyra stood at the far end, dressed in ceremonial robes that caught the light like a storm of stars. Her hair was braided with silver filaments, her ears adorned with delicate chains that glowed faintly with emotion sensors. She looked devastating. She also looked nervous, which was new. Elias, she said, her voice composed but her ears twitching ever so slightly, today's lesson is cultural immersion. Zaryth groaned softly behind him. Elias tried to smile. So like dinner. Not dinner, she corrected, a truth feast. Zaryth made the TriStar gesture again. That doesn't sound reassuring, Elias said. It is an ancient Zaryth ritual for assessing sincerity, compatibility, and emotional resonance between two individuals. Elias coughed. That sounds suspiciously like a date. Aelyra stiffened. It is not a date. Your ears are glowing, he pointed out gently. They are malfunctioning, she said quickly. They were not malfunctioning. Aelyra gestured toward the first floating dish. This is lumiscenta. It reveals honesty. Elias picked up the spoon. Reveals as in. It glows according to your emotional transparency. Oh great, Elias muttered. Honesty soup. He took a bite. Instantly the dish lit up in bright gold. Aelyra raised a brow. You are truthful. I'm too tired to lie, Elias admitted. She tasted hers. It glowed soft violet. Zaryth muttered, impossible. Aelyra shot him a look that could end solar systems. It is simply accurate. Her violet glow lingered longer than gold. Elias tried not to read into that. The second dish hovered closer, spiraling noodles that emitted faint pulses when touched. These are resonance coils, Aelyra said. They respond to interpersonal attraction. Elias froze. Sorry, respond to what? Aelyra remained perfectly composed. Pick up your fork. I don't want to pick up my fork. The coils require interaction. I really don't want to pick up my fork. But she was watching him with such intense curiosity that Elias, despite every instinct screaming no, lifted the fork and twirled a portion of glowing noodles. The moment he looked at Aelyra, the coils lit up in brilliant teal. Aelyra inhaled sharply. Her own coils shimmered violet in response. Zaryth made a strangled noise. It appears they are compatible. Elias nearly dropped the fork. I'd like a second opinion. Aelyra cleared her throat, cheeks faintly glowing. It is simply a chemical reaction. A chemical reaction based on attraction, Elias whispered. Aelyra did not respond. Her ears, however, betrayed her completely, twitching, warming, coloring. The final dish approached, two crystalline cubes hovering in perfect synchronization. Elias leaned toward Zaryth. Let me guess, these diagnose terminal embarrassment. Aelyra heard him. They reflect intention. He blanched. What kind of intention? Emotional direction, whether it inclines toward alliance, caution. She paused, or intimacy. Elias swallowed. Maybe we skip this one. That is not allowed. It was worth a try. Aelyra extended her hand, touched the cube. Elias hesitated. Okay, but if it explodes, I'm haunting your empire. Aelyra's lips almost curved. Noted. They placed their hands on the cubes. They glowed slowly, softly, shifting from neutral white to pale violet, to bright, resonant, unmistakable magenta. Aelyra froze. Zaryth yelled. This cannot be. Magenta signifies. Zaryth, Aelyra said sharply. He fell silent instantly. Elias stared at the cube, voice barely above a whisper. What does magenta mean? Aelyra didn't look at him. She didn't look at anything. She simply said, mutual inclination. Elias blinked. Inclination toward what? Aelyra turned her head slowly toward him. Her eyes were soft, her ears glowing, her composure cracking at the edges. Toward each other. Before Elias could process the terrifying beauty of that sentence, the chamber lights snapped red. A holographic alert blazed across the air. Alert, emotional bonding flagged. Council summons Queen Aelyra immediately. Risk level critical. Aelyra's throat tightened. Zaryth whispered, your radiance, they will not like this. Elias swallowed. Should I run? Aelyra turned to him, calm despite the storm. No, you will come with me. Me to an angry council meeting. They fear what they do not understand. Do they understand me? No. Oh, great. She stepped closer, close enough that he felt the warmth of her presence. Today's lesson, she said softly, is courage. Elias exhaled shakily. Is this part of emotional subtlety? It is now. She extended her hand, and walking into the Imperial Council chamber, while holding the Queen's hand ranked somewhere between bold diplomatic move and catastrophic self-destruction. Elias was guessing the latter. The chamber was enormous, concentric floating platforms suspended over a shimmering void, each holding stern Zaryth officials draped in ceremonial robes. Runes pulsed across the walls like living judgment. The central orb, an emotional resonance monitor, hovered above the abyss, glowing a steady cold blue. It warmed the moment Aelyra and Elias stepped inside. Whispers erupted instantly. He is with her. Still holding her hand. Magenta levels detected, unacceptable. A bond between a queen and that. Elias tried to discreetly let go, but Aelyra tightened her grip. He froze. The council noticed. Aelyra raised her chin. Proceed. The High Judicator drifted forward, robes trailing like storm clouds. Your Radiance, she said, voice icy. The council convenes on the matter of deviation. Elias mouthed, Davy, what now? Aelyra didn't look at him, but her hand twitched lightly in his, a quiet reassurance. The judicator gestured. The emotional orb flared to life and projected holographic images around them. Images of her and Elias. Their first meeting, the violet blush, the hand-holding, the glowing noodles, the magenta cubes burning like twin suns. Elias cringed. Wow, okay, love the surveillance culture here, very cozy. A counselor hissed, silence human. Sorry, emotional reflex. Aelyra stepped forward. Your accusations. The judicator rapped her staff. Her Radiance, you have violated core detachment protocols. You have displayed emotional resonance toward a foreign species. Species does not matter, Aelyra interrupted. A stunned gasp rolled through the chamber. The judicator's voice sharpened. It matters to Zaryth law and to stability. A reigning monarch must not form personal attachment. It leads to bias, weakness, vulnerability. Aelyra's voice dropped to a dangerous calm. You fear vulnerability. We fear downfall. Elias cleared his throat. Okay, I know I'm not supposed to talk, but... You are definitely not supposed to talk. A dozen officials barked at once. Aelyra's ears flicked sharply. He will speak. Absolute silence. Elias stepped onto the central platform, lights humming under his boots. He already regretted everything. Hi, he began weakly. Elias Ward, human, average height, below average coordination. Zarnak covered his face. The judicator glared. State your explanation for disrupting our queen. I didn't mean to disrupt anything, Elias said. I'm just honest, accidentally, chronically, pathologically. A counselor sneered. Your honesty caused her Radiance to blush in public. That's not my fault, Elias protested. She walked in looking like cosmic perfection. What was I supposed to do? Not notice? Aelyra's ears lit with faint violet. The orb pulsed magenta. The entire council recoiled as if struck. Look, Elias continued, I'm not a threat. I'm just human. We laugh when we're scared. We flirt when we panic. We spill coffee on expensive things, but we also care, hard. A hush fell, he swallowed. And your queen, she's brilliant, strong, terrifying in a sexy, immortal way. Sorry, bad phrasing. What I mean is, she's someone who deserves to feel things. Real things, not just command. A murmur rose, sharp and dangerous. One does not speak of the queen's feelings, a counselor snapped. Why not? Elias said softly, she has them. The judicator pointed her staff toward him. You claim to understand the queen better than her own council. No, Elias said, just differently. Aelyra looked at him, really looked, her expression unreadable, her eyes glowing faintly. Her ears trembling with the tiniest emotional quake. The judicator turned to her. Your Radiance, you must denounce the bond, you must declare this human irrelevant. Aelyra didn't move. The chamber held its breath. Elias whispered, it's okay, you don't have to. She squeezed his hand. Then she stepped forward, voice resonant as a rising star. I will not, she said. A shockwave of disbelief rippled through the council. The judicator's face twisted. Your Radiance, consider your lineage, your oath, your empire. My empire, Aelyra said coldly, is built upon obedience without reflection, strength without softness, control without connection. The orb shifted color, violet, not magenta, not romantic, not political, personal truth. Aelyra continued, voice trembling at the edges. For cycles uncounted, I have been a symbol, not a person, a crown, not a being. And in all that time, no one has looked at me, not truly. She turned to Elias, but he did. Silence thundered. Aelyra's eyes softened, her voice barely above a whisper, but it carried through the chamber like a blade. He made me feel curiosity, then conflict, then something I do not have a name for yet. The orb glowed warm magenta. The judicator slammed her staff. This is unacceptable. A monarch cannot form such attachment. Aelyra lifted her chin. A monarch can feel. The room erupted, reckless, dangerous, unstable, a threat to the Dominion. Aelyra's voice cut through them like a comet. I am still your queen. And you endanger that throne, the judicator hissed, unless corrective protocol is enacted. Define corrective, Aelyra said, ice forming around her words. The judicator pointed at Elias. Holographic restraints activated around him. Isolation, she said, for him. Elias stiffened. Oh, no, no, no. And recalibration, the judicator added, for you. Aelyra's eyes went cold. The temperature in the chamber plummeted. No. The judicator smirked. You have no choice. Elias stepped forward despite every instinct begging him not to. She does, he said. She can choose. She chooses the Dominion, the judicator snapped. Aelyra spoke without hesitation. I choose. Her voice broke, she inhaled sharply, her ears trembled, then finally, I choose truth. The orb flared so brightly it cracked. The entire chamber shook. The council staggered. Zaryth whispered, by the stars. Elias came back to consciousness slowly, like someone dragging him out of sleep by the ankles. The world was dim, metallic, and definitely spinning. Or maybe he was spinning. Hard to tell, he blinked. He was lying on a med platform, surrounded by shimmering diagnostic glyphs. His wrists were free, his head was pounding, and someone was sitting beside him, stiff posture, trembling hands. Aelyra. She looked up sharply. Her eyes were a storm, violet, fractured, too bright. Her long ears drooped slightly like she'd forgotten to hold them high. You're awake, she breathed. Elias tried to sit up. What happened? Did the orb explode? Yes. And everything went black. Yes, and I'm not dead. Aelyra's voice softened to something dangerously close to fragile. No, you are not dead. Elias rubbed his temples. Okay, good, just checking. She stood abruptly, too abruptly. The motion broke the illusion of calm she was trying to project. You should not have been there, she said. The words came sharp, then soft, then sharp again. You should not have spoken, you should not have touched me, and I. She cut herself off. Elias stared. You're shaking. Aelyra looked at her hands like they were traitors. I am experiencing instability. Elias snorted. Welcome to humanity. This is not humorous, she snapped. But it's normal, he said gently. Feeling too much all at once, that's basically our brand. Aelyra pressed a hand to her chest. When the judicator threatened you, I felt. She stopped, her voice dropped. I felt something I could not control. Fear, he offered, no. Anger, no. He blinked, then what? She finally met his gaze. A tremor ran through her. Connection. Something inside Elias faltered. Is that bad? It is unprecedented, she whispered. Unregulated, unwise, unacceptable. He swallowed, but not unwelcome. Her breath caught. Aelyra turned away, unable to face him. The council is in chaos, she said quietly. Some demand your exile, some call for recalibration, some want my abdication. Elias froze. Abdication. Because of me. Because of what the bond indicates, she corrected. It implies choice, autonomy, vulnerability. They fear it. Elias stood, unsteady but determined. Aelyra, look at me. Slowly she did. He stepped close. Not touching her this time, just close enough for meaning. I never wanted to cause trouble. I never wanted to drag you into conflict. But if something is happening between us, it's not wrong. It's real. And I won't pretend I don't feel it too. Her ears trembled. You feel it. Yes, the word seemed to break something inside her. Aelyra's walls, those perfect, polished, ancient walls, finally cracked. She stepped toward him. Elias Ward, she whispered. I do not know the shape of this feeling. I cannot name it. I cannot control it. And that terrifies me. He smiled softly. That's how you know it's worth something. She exhaled, slow, trembling, honest. For the first time since he met her, she didn't look like a queen. She looked like a person. The door hissed open. Zaryth burst in, panting, antenna twisted with stress. Your radiance, we must move, now. What happened? Elias asked. The council is dividing, Zaryth said. Some believe the orb's reaction indicates a fated bond. Others think it's corruption. They are mobilizing forces to seize her radiance for evaluation. Elias paled. Evaluation sounds an awful lot like. A polite word for imprisonment, Zaryth confirmed. Aelyra straightened instantly, queen again. We will not run. Zaryth shook his head. We do not run, we strategically relocate. Elias blinked. That means run. Yes, Zaryth said, very much. Alarms blared overhead. Security breach. Council enforcers inbound. Objective, queen reclamation. Aelyra tensed. They come for me. Elias grabbed her hand. Then let's not be here when they arrive. For once, she didn't argue. They tore through the starship corridors as red lights pulsed overhead. Zaryth barreled ahead, clearing paths, knocking out drones with a level of enthusiasm that felt deeply therapeutic. Elias ran beside Aelyra, her hand gripping his like a lifeline. This is insane, Elias panted. This is inevitable, Aelyra corrected. I miss when our lessons were about sarcasm. You were terrible at sarcasm. Hey. Her ear twitched. Was she smiling? Even now, they reached the hangar, a vast chamber filled with sleek royal shuttles. Zaryth leaped into the nearest one and activated the controls. Hurry, he barked. They are seconds behind. Aelyra stopped just before stepping aboard. Elias. He turned. She was standing in the blue glow of the hangar lights, hair flowing, ears trembling, eyes burning with violet certainty. If we board this shuttle, she said softly, everything changes. I know. The Council will never allow this bond. I know, and I do not know where this path leads. Elias stepped close, to something new. Aelyra inhaled shakily. And you choose this? He reached up very slowly and brushed a strand of silver hair behind her ear. I choose you. Her breath shuddered. Then she surged forward, not with royal grace, but with raw, unfiltered emotion, and pressed her forehead to his. Not a kiss, not yet, but something older, something sacred. Her voice trembled against his skin. Then I choose you. Zarnek groaned loudly. Wonderful, beautiful, sentimental. Now please get on the shuttle before we all die. They scrambled aboard, the doors sealed. The engines roared, and as the shuttle launched into the void, escaping the dominion that once defined her, Aelyra took Elias' hand and held it without hesitation. No fear, no protocol. Just connection. Hours later, drifting safely beyond pursuit range, Elias and Aelyra stood together at the observation window. Stars stretched endlessly before them. Aelyra spoke first. What will become of us? Elias smiled tiredly. We'll figure it out together. She lowered her head against his shoulder. A queen, choosing closeness over command, warmth over detachment, him over